Let's first talk about the external flash. An external flash is a flash that's not built into your camera and gives you more control in both positioning the flash and intensity or brightness. It will also allow you to change the direction of the flash. Remember how we recommended softening the light from your flash with a diffuser? Bouncing the flash's light off the ceiling or in a wall near you to create softer light is great. I often point my external flash upwards to fill an entire room rather than the subject right in front of me. You can also use specific diffusers to bounce and diffuse your flash, giving you more control of the quality of light. Here in the garage with Sam, and we're going to go over how to use an external flash and the very basics of using it in taking a simple photo. So to start off, I have my camera and I have the external flash. It fits into the hot shoe just right on top. It just slides right on and locks into position. So I'm shooting at 2/50th of a second, which is for this camera, its flash sync speed. You need to check with your camera and see what specific flash sync speed is for you. I'm shooting at 1600 ISO just because that's a good general ISO for what we're doing, and I'm shooting at an f4 so that more things are in focus, more than shooting at a 2.8. I've got my flash on, it's in manual mode, it's at full power, and we're gonna go ahead, line Sam up, take a shot. It is totally white. See how white this shot is? Now remember Phil's exposure triangle? We can talk about that and we can bring the ISO down, or we can now go to our flash, and on the back of your flash, you'll be able to click the plus minus button and you'll be able to bring the power all the way down, and it's also in fractions. So let's bring the power down to 1/16th power, and let's see what that does. We're leaving all the settings on our camera the same. So let's line up Sam again. Now again, it's still a little blown out. We've probably blinded Sam because our flash is going right at his eyes. It's not really good for your subject. So we're gonna go all the way down to 1/512th power, and we're gonna take a picture of Sam one more time. Great, now it's a really nice exposure. Now the flash itself is really harsh. The light's really hard and it's creating some hard shadows behind him. So how would we get rid of that? Well, for this flash, we can articulate the top. We can move it around, we can spin it around, things like that. In an event, I tend to shoot straight up into a ceiling because a lot of times the ceilings are white or they're beige and they'll apply a lot of bounce. Now let's go back to our full power, hit the plus or minus button. We're sliding all the way over to the power. 1 for 1, we're gonna line up Sam again. Our settings haven't changed other than the flash power, shooting the photo. Again, a little bit bright. So let's hit the plus or minus. We'll go back down to halfway, which is 1/256th. And we're pointing up, and let's look at this bounce, lining up Sam one more time. Great. Look how soft and nicely exposed that picture is of Sam. It's a little less harsh, the background falls off a little bit, and the flash really isn't hurting our subject. I would go a little bit brighter, hitting the plus or minus button and going to 1/28th, lighting it up. There you go. Really nice exposure, really nice soft light on Sam. It's just bouncing off the ceiling. It looks great. Now there's another way to diffuse your light if you can't articulate around or there's no ceiling close by, and that's using a third-party diffuser like this one I have right here. This one is a really soft plastic hard case, and it will fit right on top of our flash. Let's go ahead and put that on. So now we have this on top of our flash. Now some people like to shoot straight because there's still diffusion here, but I much more like to shoot straight up, and all the light will get trapped in here and diffuse out all around me. So we're gonna leave the power at 128. This is what we took our last shot at when we were shooting into the ceiling. Let's see what it looks like now. Line Sam up. There we go. Again, really nicely diffused light. So now let's try pointing it at him and see what that looks like. A much harsher light because the light's going right at him. I think I would prefer pointing up. You can see the difference between these two photos. You can see the really soft light on Sam versus the really harsh light. It's much more flattering to have a nice, soft, diffused light from your flash. The cool thing about this is that you can use this in any situation rather than just relying off walls to bounce your flash off of. Also, another way to diffuse your light is this small little bounce card that comes with most flashes. It slides out like this, and your flash internally fires light into the bounce card and bounces out this way. Outdoors, this is great. It's a little hard to do in here because we're gonna get some more bounce off the side here, but it's also another way to diffuse your light. There are certain modeling shots that we use harder flashes on, but usually from an external power source, powerful flash or strobe that can move away from your camera. Using an external flash off the top of your camera will allow for some really creative control. It will also allow your photo to look more dynamic than just lighting from right above your lens. Check out the difference here between this onboard camera flash photo and when we move the flash to the side and use a remote control to fire the flash at the same time as shooting the photo. Taking the flash off the camera opens up an entirely new world. You can use a wireless remote or a tethered cable to set up your flash somewhere else to create a more dynamic look. Check out this demo as I mess around with a remote flash off my camera. So now we're back in the garage with Sam, and I've taken the flash off our camera and I've added a remote control to it. So basically when I fire here, it's gonna send a wireless signal over to my flash and fire my flash. Now the reasons for doing this is just getting a little bit more creative with light and deciding how we want to kind of shape the light on our subject's face. So again, if we're right here and we're shooting and we face the flash right at Sam, you can see what it looks like. It's just a really harsh, hard flash light, and it just doesn't look flattering whatsoever. Sorry, Sam. So let's move the flash somewhere else and see what it looks like when we can move it away from our unit. We can really kind of get into this really cool design. So we're going to put this flash just to the side of Sam to create some separation on his face. This way the flash just hits one side of his face and this side will hopefully be dark. So we'll move this over here. So let's go ahead and look at Sam. Sam, I'm going to have you look down to your right. Yep, like that. We'll line it up right here and we'll fire away. Cool. Now you can see how the flash itself is really coming from one side. It's hitting the wall behind Sam on his left shoulder and it's just lighting one face. Sam, if you could look straight down. Just straight down. Yeah, like that. So let's line them up again. Really cool, just side light coming from the side. It really creates a different mood. It's still a little harsh for me, so I would kind of decide to diffuse it by using our diffuser that's built into the flash itself. This diffuses a little bit. It's actually shooting it up into this white card. But let's see what that looks like. Again, same setting. Sam, look straight down. So now take a look at this really soft diffusion light on Sam's face. It's really much more natural. We're getting kind of a yin and yang sort of situation here where it's dark on one side, light on the other side, and the background is actually light on one side and dark on the other side. It's really kind of a cool creative look. Let's move the flash behind Sam and see what that does. So I'm positioning the flash directly behind Sam's head. I'm gonna get a little bit lower so I don't see the physical flash. And we're gonna look right at Sam. Sam, go ahead and look down again to his head. There, perfect. Check this out. Look how rim light he is. Now we see his face coming from our video lights, but we don't necessarily see the flash itself. We've created this rim around his head. We're gonna up the power of the flash and we're gonna point it a little bit more at Sam. I've basically upped the power to 1/64th and I'm gonna point it right at the back of his head like that. And we're gonna see what that does. Great. You see how it made the light even more powerful and how the rim is just even more intense around him. He's really standing out from the background. And if you have two flashes or two remotes, now we can light from one side and we can create a backlight. It's really cool. So now I'm gonna have them take the flash and point it against the wall in the background and let's see what that does. Because we're in a garage and we don't really have a background, I've had the flash face basically the wall itself. We're gonna illuminate the wall in the background to create a really rad white background. Sam is lit by just the lights that are already up and in the garage, so we can sort of see his face. And let's see what this does. Check this out. So this is a really easy way to create a perfect white background. He's against like a white cyc or a white piece of paper, but really it's just a white garage with a flash shooting into it. Really easy way to do that. So now let's get really creative and let's put the flash on the floor in front of Sam. So before I put it down, I'm gonna drop the power because I know it's gonna be really powerful. I'm gonna drop it all the way down to its lowest power, which is 1/512 power. We're gonna lay it down right here. This might end up looking a little scary on Sam. That's what I'm going for. We're gonna articulate it a little bit. It's pointed right up at him. Sam, go ahead and look down. Yep, we're gonna fire it. Very Halloween-y, very campfire story-esque. This looks very scary. Sam, why don't you look right at me? Why don't you give me an evil face? That's pretty evil. It's pretty scary looking, but you can see what you can do with the flash when you move it around your subject. There's tons of possibilities, especially when you start playing with more than one flash. As soon as you take it off your camera, you can really get creative with it. So check out the supplemental resources in this section for a really cool layout on where I'm placing the flash around the subject and some really cool ideas on how to create an awesome look. I'll put a supplemental resource together so you can see what the image looks like with what the layout looks like.